Hey guys, it's Rebecca. So in today's video, we are still continuing on with the Customer Service Chronicles. Now, this is like the first real episode that I'm doing. So what I'm probably just going to do is going to just label these like episode 1, 2, 3, whatever. And then I don't know if I'll put like details or whatever on the actual titles, but I'm definitely going to mark them as episodes because the call that I had yesterday was a whopper. So to give you a little brief rundown, when I started recording from my phone, which I will include some of the recordings from my cell phone, I have been on the phone with this individual for an hour and a half. An hour and a half. We had been trying to install software on their machine, on their computer, that they needed in order to do something that they needed to get done. And without going into great detail as to what the program does or what they were needing to do, I needed to help them get a program installed so that they could get things done that related to their finances. Now, I am on a remote desktop on a VPN, so I'm under a bunch of protections and stuff. So under the VPN inside a remote desktop, so everything I touch is monitored. Everything I do, every keystroke, copy and paste is disabled. Very stringent security protocols because I deal with names, addresses, phone numbers, driver's licenses, social security numbers, date of births, you name it. I touch all kinds of stuff. I also see inside people's computers on a daily basis, and I need to be able to help them inside their systems to guide them or help them install things, remove things, that kind of thing, to get certain actions done. Now, some people may know this, some people may not. I have a master's degree in computer engineering. I don't usually, actually, I'll be right back. Okay, so, well, I'll leave that there because it's like kind of stuck on the thing. So here you go. There's my degree with the thing kind of like stuck on it. Anyways, so here's my degree. So you can so here's my degree. For those that have ever wondered, I just never framed it or anything. I also have a bachelor's degree one as well. I think it's blue. This one is in a maroon folder, but I had to take all the crap that was in it out. It sits on a bookshelf in the living room. I can't really use it. Anyways, so I don't directly use my master's degree for my job, but I know, needless to say, I know what I'm doing when it comes to computers and helping people with tech problems and guiding them to install and uninstall programs. We'll just leave it at that. So when this individual called in, of course, I verified their information, which is what we're supposed to do because we deal with personal identifiable information, which a lot of people know as PII. Now, we do not ever supply information out. I cannot even tell you like bits of information. If you call in to me and you go, well, I think my email is this, and you're partially right, like say you tell me your email is johnnyboy24@gmail.com and it's actually johnnyboy24@yahoo.com or ymail.com or msn.com. I can't say close but no cigar. I can't say do you use another email carrier? What I can say is Unfortunately, that email does not match what I see here on the account. Do you happen to use a different email address or have another email address that you would have used on your account? And that's when they're like, oh crap, yeah, I used johnnyboy24@ymail.com. And you're like, okay, thank you so much for that. That does match our records. Okay, but if I go and I look on the account, I can see that they have both emails registered, but what loads on our side will show their phone number and the email that is the main email on there. If they have a secondary email on their account, say the Gmail and the Ymail were both there, but the Ymail is the main email or the default email and the Gmail is a secondary email, they have to confirm the default email. I cannot use a secondary email to verify an account. So then if I'm pulling up other information, I also have to verify the last four of their social. I have to verify their birth date. When I'm pulling up order information, I have to verify the last four of a credit card number. I have to verify their addresses. Again, the key word here is verify. I am never to supply that information. Now, once they have given me an order number or a license registration code or activation ID or any number of these things or a username, once they have given me that information at least once, I can always repeat it back to them later on in the call. But you have to supply it to me at least once at some point in the call for me to be able to repeat it back to you. So that's always a key point. So when it came for this individual the initial reason that they called in for support was they were trying to install a program to help because their financial advisor had asked them to install something or to get access to a previous year document that they needed help, but they needed to reinstall something in order to gain access to that because they thought that they had the PDF version of the filing, but they didn't have the filing. So I tried to look through their accounts to see if we could find it, and I was not able to find it on my side. So that meant that it was actually a download of something that was from the desktop, like a desktop application. So they have to load the desktop application in order to pull it up, in order to convert it from a file back to a PDF. So I needed to be able to walk the customer through how to do that. So they needed to be able to install the program, long and the short of it. We tried for over an hour to get the thing to download. And I'm asking, do you have a VPN? Do you have an antivirus? No, I don't have any of those things. And then he's like hollering for his wife. And I mean, went to a door and yelled across his house for his wife. And I'm like, oh my. An hour and 31 minutes in, he finally goes, oh, my wife is home. Do you mind if I go get her for a minute? Maybe she can help. At that point, I was already well over my I'm done with this bullshit limit. He goes to get his wife, and she comes to help him. I also could not, like when we were trying to log into their the account for them to get them on like the online website to see if we could like download what they need in PDF form off their account. It sends a 2-factor authentication code to their cell phone. They have an iPhone like I do. I am trying to get them to find the little message icon on their iPhone, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay. Actually, I moved my messages. So on my phone, it's this little green icon down here. Mine has 3. Okay, one of them's actually a message from the FCC because I reported somebody earlier for sending me spam. I'm still getting political bullshit. And then one was from Trendmood, and then I sold something on Mercari, so yay. So I was trying to get him to find that little green icon with a little white chat bubble in it. But he's using his cell phone to talk to me. And I'm trying to walk him through how to swipe up from the bottom of his phone to get that, you know, when you have an iPhone, okay, and you swipe up. Let me get to a page where there's not a whole lot of stuff. Oh, stop that. Get back over. When you swipe up, right, you've got access to all the apps or whatever that you've got on your phone, okay? Once you swipe up, you can tap over here to get back to your homepage. What I couldn't get him to do, because he kept opening up weird applications on his phone. He's like, oh, I just opened this. Oh, I just opened that. I'm like, please do not open other applications. We're trying to load your messages. Do you see messages on your phone? It looks like a green square with a little chat bubble in it. This is what it looks like. And of course, I'll zoom this in editing so it makes a little bit more sense. It was like, do you see this icon right here? This one. I said, depending on how your phone is set up, it may be somewhere else on your phone. Do you know how to search on your phone? Which, to search on your phone, you go back to your main page and you swipe this direction to get this screen. And then you can pull it down. And there's a search bar right there. And then you type in MESS and messages pops right up. I could not get this individual to do any of that. And I literally was losing my ever-loving mind. So, what you're going to see now is a video clip from my phone of me on the phone with this individual. This is an older gentleman that is old enough to be my father. Was born after my father was born, actually, and my dad isn't 70 years old just yet, because my dad was born in 1955. This gentleman was born 4 years after my father was born. So he's 4 years younger than my father, if that gives you any idea of age. So he's younger than my father, has no idea how to use his cell phone. Very not computer literate at all. I was losing my last bit of patience, and of course, I just recently found out, this year, and I've talked to several of my doctors about it and whatnot, and they also agree that I have autism, but without a psychiatrist to diagnose me with autism, which is what you need. You need to go to a psychiatrist to get diagnosed with autism. But my neurologist, my pain specialist, my GP, the other doctors that I do have all agree that I do have all the signs and the symptoms and everything else of autism. I just thought I had all the other 15,000 other disorders. It kind of makes sense why I go from 0 to no patients really quick. So I'm going to go ahead and play these video clips. One of them's only like 2 minutes long. One of them's going to be much longer than that. Again, I'm going to have to cut out or mute out sections where I say like company names and stuff like that for proprietary reasons. And anytime I discuss like personal information for the consumer, of course, that will be blocked out as well. This is just going to show you when you have a difficult call for a consumer, how you have to keep your cool and how I keep my cool when I am raging on the inside. This is what we call masking. This is me when I am literally ready to rip this dude's head off and scream and yell and cuss him out, because that's what I wanted to do. This is how much I have changed as a human, because 10 years ago, I'd have thrown hands. 10 years ago, I would have cussed him out up one side and down the other, and I'd have hung the fuck up on the phone, I'll tell you that. So this is just a method that I use to keep my cool, because one, I know I'm dealing with a customer that's over the age of 65. I know I'm dealing with somebody that is not computer literate. He's frustrated, I'm frustrated, and losing my temper is not going to get us anywhere in life. Also, to give you a heads up before getting into the video, the whole reason we could not get his shit to install, even after asking him at the beginning of the call, do you have a VPN? Because a lot of these older customers, their kids will install like NordVPN or something like that on their computers without them knowing, and they don't know it's there. So they They don't even know what that is. I asked if they had a VPN. He didn't even know what that was. I asked him to look for the icons and whatnot. Couldn't find it. And then I asked, do you have any type of antivirus? And I talked about a bunch of different types and whatnot. Asked if they had that, or had him check the system tray and said, does it look like this? Or do you have this installed? Or do you have this icon anywhere? Or if you search for this on the little bar at the bottom, because he's working on a Windows 11 computer, do you have this icon anywhere for this or this or this or this? Which are the most common ones? And he told me no for all of it. Long story short, before we get to the video, he had fucking McAfee installed, and every time we tried to download what we needed to download, even my screen share ability, it was stopping everything that we did. He had fucking McAfee. It wasn't until I pulled up the directions on how to disable McAfee and walked him through how to do that, which is not my job. Not supposed to do that at all. We were able to move forward with the call. The call ended at 1 hour and 52 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and play the video clips that I recorded from my phone, and I will be back in just a minute. Yeah, so basically you were using you went to your phone to retrieve the code, but we needed to go back to your computer to input it on the website. Yes, and that's what I told you, that it only allows it for so many minutes. So what the website should do is it should prompt you to get a new code. Does it give you that option? Okay. Now you'll go back to your messages and you'll pull that from your messages in order to get that correct code. No, a message on your cell phone. So you'll go back to your cell phone, back to your text messages to grab that new code. Correct. So in the top right corner, there should be, or the top left corner, there should be an arrow to go back to where your main messages are. Go ahead and click that to go back to where your list of messages are until that new code comes in. On your phone. Do this on your cell phone. Correct. Okay, great. Go ahead and click that. You'll put that in on the website. Correct. Okay. Okay. Were you, oh, fantastic. You were actually able to get in. Now in the bottom left-hand corner, you're going to look for 3 items. It's going to say something in Spanish. It's going to say log out. And then the first thing it's going to say is, yes, scroll down way past that. We're going to ignore what that says. Use the middle mouse wheel on your mouse, or are you using a trackpad on your computer? Do you have a laptop you're using? Okay. You can use the little scroller bar on the left-hand side of the website. You usually have to click it. usually the little bar, or there's arrows at the top and bottom of the bar on the left-hand side, or on the right-hand side. Is it all the way in the top right-hand corner next to the little person icon? Yeah, that would be fine. I'm Rebecca. Yes. And we're going to go bypass all of that stuff. And we need to scroll down the very bottom of the page. Because right now you need to get down to the very bottom where it says click that. Yes, you need to go past all of that stuff. On the bottom left-hand corner, there should be options. There'll be something in Spanish and it'll say log out. You need to click. It's on the left-hand side. Okay. Correct. This will load you into your actual account. Yes. Yes. And then we're going to make sure that if it asks you to sign in again, do that. Okay, when you load in, does it have 6 little boxes that says like profile, products and billing, things like that? Okay, click on products and billing. There's no disable button. Okay, so what happens if you left click on the McAfee button? Because there should be an option on there to disable it for like 10 minutes, an hour, until restart, things like that. Okay, so I went ahead and stopped. I cut the clip where I go into like talking about McAfee and all that kind of stuff, because that is actually going to be another episode, because I want to discuss how predatory some virus software companies are towards the elderly. 1, 2, how difficult it is to get rid of them on your fucking computer. And 3, just how many hoops and loops and jumps and everything else we had to go through to disable that fucking software so that I could get this customer where I needed to get them, so that we could actually establish what they needed. The whole reason for their call was to get a program installed that they had bought so that they could get something for their financial advisor. That was the whole reason for the call. And as you can see, they had already spent an hour on the phone with me to this point. The last clip that I had recorded, which was talking about McAfee and stuff, was still 15 minutes long. After that little segment that you saw of just a minute of me sharing just how long I'd been on the phone. So I did not speed anything up. That was 100% real time. You can see at one point the husband and wife started to argue and they were just going at it in my headset. And I'm like, Like, what do you do? What do you do when you've got two older individuals that are married, literally knock down, drag out, yelling at each other, screaming at each other, telling each other off? It was bad. Like, he was telling her to shut up. And he asked her to come up there to help him. He is the one that instigated the entire thing. He said, "Hey, so-and-so, can you come help me? I need help." She had just gotten home from an appointment, and she dropped what she was doing the second she came in the door of the house to come help him. When she said, "I don't know what you're doing. I don't care what it costs. I will pay for whatever it is that you will need. Can we do this later? I just walked in the door." And he said, "I already have this nice lady on the phone. By the way, what was your name? I've already forgotten." And that's when you hear me say, "My name is Rebecca." And then they start going at it. And I mean, if I was just waiting for the fisticuff sounds to happen because of the sounds that I was listening to on that phone call. I was like, oh my God, are they just going to start beating each other up at this point? Because she was given as good as she got. I tell you that. He was verbally abusing her on the phone, and she was giving it right back. So, I mean, she's probably put up with that shit for over 20 years and she's done had it. But also, the way he talked to her, I would have done the same thing she did and put him in his place. Because no man has any right to speak to a woman the way that he had talked to her. He told her to shut up multiple times. He told her to back the fuck up. He knew what he was doing, but yet he's the one that called her in there to ask for help. And in those situations, you do what I did, and you wait for them to stop. Because if you step into that, you do exactly what that is, and you step in it. You cannot involve yourself in the middle of that squabble, because that is a marital spat, and you don't want to be involved in that. So you sit there calmly and wait, even though I was already frustrated. I have the only advice I can say in that, when you have two individuals fighting in the background while you are on a recorded phone line, you have to remain calm and remain composed, because QA is still going to listen to those. And they're going to see how you handle that call, and how you handle that could make or break whether or not you keep your job. And then at the end of the call, please make sure that you wrap up, "Thank you so-and-so for calling in today. I know that we had a difficult time today, and I'm so glad that I could get this resolved for you. You initially called in because you needed this, and this is what you needed help with, and this is what we did on the call, and this is what I was able to get done with you after we were able to do this, and I'm so sorry that you had issues with your virus software, and I understand that, you weren't aware that this was what was causing the issues, and it took us a while to get there, but thank you so much for your patience while we worked through this together. I really do appreciate the fact that you were patient with me while we worked through this." Granted, they were not the one patient with you. You were the one patient with them. You are being the bigger person here. And also, you're on a recorded phone line, and QA will listen to this call. In our line of work, we're always taught, when you do your wrap-ups and stuff, when somebody first calls in, you should represent the company, welcome them or thank them from calling, introduce yourself, ask who you're calling. Usually those are the four main things that most companies want to have addressed. Some companies don't want all of that. Some companies do. Just depends on what your company policies are. My company wants me to hit all four of those things, and then we verify phone number and email to make sure that we pull up the right account. And then we get into what the customer issue is. When I answer the phone, I say, "Hi, thank you for calling the company I work for. My name is Rebecca. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking to today?" And then when they tell me their name, say their name is Amanda. "Well, hi, Amanda. How are you doing today?" I wait for a response, and they tell me that they're doing great. "Oh, I'm so glad to hear that you're doing great today. Well, Amanda, what are we doing today? How am I assisting? Or how am I helping? Or what are we doing to help you today?" Number one, we is always a pretty good common thing to say when you're working for a company. I don't work directly for the company I work for. I'm an independent contractor. I'm a 1099 employee, but team is something they always want to be used. They always want to make it seem like you work for that company, no matter if you do or not. So keep that in mind. The we's, the us's, the ours, not the I or the me. Always keep team in mind when speaking to customers because it seems to make companies happy. QA seems to like that. Also, repeating their name when asking them what the issue is, whether or not it populates on your side, whether you can see that or not, when you're dealing with customers, shows them that you're listening. Also, if they say, oh, I'm doing okay, depending on how they answer, oh, I'm doing great today. Oh, I'm so glad to hear you're doing so good today. Or if they're like, oh, I'm doing okay. And you're like, uh-oh, that doesn't sound so good. Doesn't sound like you're doing so okay. Are you sure you're doing okay? And then that right there is personalization that makes them go, oh, this lady might give a shit. Okay, I can work with this. And then I've had people giggle and they're like, oh, no, I'm good. It's been a rough day and I'm trying to keep my spirits up. And then that's when you're like, okay, I just want to make sure everything is good. How am I helping today? What am I able to assist with to make that day a little bit better? And now you've got something to build on. So keeping that in mind also is another thing that you can do to bolster that and build rapport for a call. So once you've done that, then you get into what the customer's issue is. They're going to rattle off a whole bunch of shit for you. Whether or not you're taking notes, if you have the ability to take notes, do it. If you can do notes at the same time that they're talking, awesome, do it. If you don't, I recommend getting these little things. These are these little jot notebooks. I get them at the Dollar Tree. They're, I think, $1.25, whatever the hell they cost now. They use like 70% recycled paper, I think. Let me look. Does it say on here? Somewhere on here it says they're made with recycled paper. I know one of them says recycled paper. Anyways, I have a couple of different ones that I use. This one is the floral print. Let's see, what's this one got on it? That's another floral print. But I've got, what's this one? Another floral print. I've got a bunch of these. I use them. They're handy. They're $1. There is 180 sheets of paper. They're 5.5 inches by 4 inches. These are super handy to keep at your desk, especially if you work remote, to just quickly write down what the main points are that they need help with. So that way you've got a focus point on what the bullet points are that they need help with. Because remembering that to wrap up at the end of your call is also key. So on this call in particular, I wrapped up, and then when I got done with the wrap up, that's when you usually ask, is there anything else that I may be able to assist you with? That's when he said, oh yeah, I meant to ask, can you help me with yada, yada, yada? And I'm like, absolutely. I'm so glad that we still have the screen share up. Go ahead and click here. Let's pull this back up and let's go back into your account and let me show you how to do that. And that was a great point because I had gone back over everything that he had initially called in for. I wrapped up everything that we had, what the call was initially about, what we had done on the call, everything that we had done troubleshooting wise on the call. And then of course, asking if there's any other questions or if there's any other way I can help before letting them, go. And that's when they were like, oh yeah. And then they had the aha moment. And then that usually is another way that you kind of get those little check marks that from QA on calls like that, because customer satisfaction for most companies is something that they want to see, because they want to make sure that all of those little tick marks are done. So hopefully you guys liked this episode. I have a couple of more ideas in mind that I'm going to go ahead. I'm probably going to film one more tonight. Right now the migraine is calming down. My head isn't throbbing as bad, but it's been pretty bad all day. The rain has subsided. It's just cloudy right now, but we're supposed to drop into like the 30s by Thursday. So winter is slowly hitting Georgia. But anyways, yep, hopefully you guys like this video. Leave your thoughts and comments down below. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Again, if you have any suggestions for upcoming episodes, or if you have a customer service story that you want me to retell on my own, please feel free to use my email that is in my description box, and just leave me the details as to what you want me to do for the retelling. And I'll be happy to do a retelling of your own story if we need to, like, cover names or something, or change names to hide your identity, or for anonymity, we can do that as well. And again, these will be going up randomly whenever I have time to film them and edit them. And hopefully you guys have a fantabulous day or night wherever you are. And leave me, because this literally was a fight to get this on. Leave me a red stop sign emoji in the comments if you made it this far. So anyways, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.